the whole narrative of like Elphaba being a revolutionary, wanting to free the animals and restore their ability to speak and, basically do what they want in the world and roam freely. That in the second act of the musical is like basically completely thrown aside. So I was glad for the change in the film that they made this a continuation, like a continual part of who Elphaba is and why she's doing all this stuff and trying to like lead this fight.
Yeah, she did write in bright red marker on her map, save the animals just in case she ever forgot. So that was nice.
That was a bit much. I was like, okay.
Also, how are the giraffes getting into that hole?
Girl, there was a lot of questions I had, and this is where I'm talking about. These little things, like you said, it took me out of it, and I'm like, I can't suspend disbelief here.
Go Piss Girl, Justin.
And it's good to see me, isn't it? Geoff.
And welcome to Vance. Good morning, Geoff. What's up?
Good morning, Justin. I'm just, can't believe that it's the holidays again, almost Thanksgiving this week.
Yeah, I'm about to head home right after this recording. I'm heading back to Connecticut. We'll probably record our next episode in person. Very excited about that. Yeah.
That is exciting. I can't wait. Or do you think we'll have our microphones and audio mixer set up by then?
We're hoping, yeah. We're hoping to get a little bit of an upgraded in-person recording setup going this week.
Yeah,
so
brother.
I can't wait.
I'm excited about that. We can film on a couch.
Yeah, we can be a lot more relaxed.
Like real podcasters.
We are real podcasters, Geoff.
Well, I know we are, but I want to look profesh. It'll be fun.
I hope that the editing quality of the episodes feels professional to people.
I think it does. I think
always
it does.
Open to feedback on that front, but
it's just the visual component for me. It's a visual component for me, sis.
Absolutely. And fun fact, this is I guess like a little bit of a niche podcast tip, but if you're recording in person, don't use two separate USB mics attached to two separate laptops, because there's always some desync issues, and that's why we're upgrading to like a more analog system here.
You know what? Let's bring back a lot of analog things, by the way. Let's talk about this for a second. Because I was just talking to one of my coworkers, and they were like, oh, well, I use my phone for my alarm, and I just find myself scrolling every day before I get up out of bed and right before I go to sleep, and I wake up and I've often, accidentally purchased things on Amazon or whatever. And I'm like, that seems like a you problem. Guess what happened, Justin? The other day, I have a little notification that I got an Amazon package. I said, I don't remember ordering anything from Amazon, but I'm thinking maybe it's just like one of my usual things that I had delivered, which is like Drogo's insulin needles. Drogo's my cat, everybody. He does have the diabetes, so I have to give him insulin. So I thought maybe his needles came, and I was like, that's weird. They usually come like right at the end of the month, not halfway through. I went downstairs. I opened it up when I brought the package into my place. There's a rug in this package. Now, I don't recall ever purchasing this, so I looked back at the order history to find out when the hell this came, thinking maybe it was a mistake. I ordered it at 3:07 a.m. the other day. And that was the day that I woke up with my phone on in my bed, like underneath me. I felt something poking and hot, and I was like, I don't have a man in here. What's this? So I woke up and felt it was my phone underneath me. Isn't that wild?
That is wild. I
sleep ordering in Amazon.
This hasn't happened to me. Do you scroll Amazon and window shop a lot when you're getting ready to go to sleep? Or
I window shop constantly.
Okay.
As soon as I have something in my head, I'm like, there's three places I'm going to check. Especially if it's like home furnishing. I'm going to go to Wayfair. I'm going to go to Amazon. And I'm also going to go to Zara Home, because Zara Home has some good shit for an affordable price. I've got to tell you. Put some respect on Zara's name, everybody.
Okay. At risk of going really on a sidebar here. Question for you, because Amazon lists and Amazon made me think about this. Does your family still ask you for like a Christmas list for gift ideas for Christmas, or is everybody going on vibes? Okay.
No, my family is not big on that. What about yours?
My family, so this is a whole thing, and family members who are listening, they know that I feel this way, so I feel okay talking about it on the pod.
It's a safe space.
But My parents, I feel like, maybe this is like a common thing with a lot of millennials where we're still the youngest people in the family, like me and my siblings, right?
Yeah.
So, well, I shouldn't say that. I have one nephew, so he's obviously like
Wait, I was just going to say, what about Michael's son?
like he's the grandchild, right? So he's getting all the gifts, but still, like that's only one grandchild in the whole family. And other than
Yeah.
that, we have a set of like 4 siblings that are around the same age and like their significant others and stuff like that. So my parents still ask us for like a Christmas list every year. And it's starting to get ridiculous because I'm like, I don't know, I add stuff to my Christmas list and I'm like, I already don't have enough space for my books. Like, I really don't have any time to play a lot more video games.
Yeah.
This is stuff that, like, it's for my own purposes. Like, if I ever want to, like, get myself a sweet treat, basically, like a nice treat after a payday or something, like, I'll buy a book or something.
When you're feeling hood rich.
Exactly. But I don't really need my parents to go get me, like, 3 or 4 books because I'm like, great, now I have, like, all these books that are just going to add up to the stack here.
Oh my God, it's given Belle.
It's
Belle
a problem.
In the library with the beast.
It's a problem. If anybody wants to borrow some books, hit me up. bandspot@gmail.com.
Can confirm Justin loves to share his books with people.
It's true. It's true.
I've got 2 of them sitting on my shelf right now.
You working on those?
Next question.
Yeah, so I, for a long time, had like an Amazon wish list that I would share. But for many reasons, I am now like, maybe I'm going to try to transition away from using Amazon. So I started at like making a book list on bookshop.org, which is this great website. Anytime we talk about a book on the pod, in the show notes, we have a link to bookshop.org. And it's this
I've noticed that
nonprofit that you can either choose an indie bookstore to give the profits to, or it'll spread the profits among a bunch of indie bookstores across the country.
Hey, I didn't know that was like their MO. I thought this was just your alternative to Amazon.
No, it's like this really cool. I mean, I'm a huge fan of like shout out Lost City Books in DC, my favorite bookstore in DC, but I love perusing an independent bookstore. So gotta support.
Oh my God, do you know what? We don't have a great independent bookstore anymore.
Really? What happened? Did the Bank Square books get bought?
Bank Square moved. They moved. And they're now in Stonington in this weird little place across from the Big Y.
Weird.
It's just like a little out of the way to get to. And well, this isn't a good excuse.
What's occupying that space in downtown Mystic now?
Oh, Mama, guess what? Of course it is. A fucking bank.
Oh,
wait, I lied. It's a jewelry store. It's a jewelry store.
Well, not that much better, but I guess it's nice.
Not that different than a bank, really.
Yeah.
What is a jewelry store but a vault?
True. I mean, you got to have high security at those places, banks and jewelry stores.
Also, don't you think that, I don't know, Justin, I've been thinking about this a lot. I feel like, I don't know, jewelry is just like so ridiculous.
As like a concept?
I get that it's pretty and like, yes, as a concept, but also like the idea of like the rare gems and the amount of like environmental destruction and like exploitation that occurs around that entire industry. It's like, can't we all agree this is like fully bad and terrible? And like we have so many alternatives that look so similar to these rare gemstones. And like I get it, you know, if it's done ethically, if it's like, you know, just from like a topaz deposit in the American Southwest or something, and people are literally just like, oh, I'm just gonna dig and whatever I get, I'll turn it into like polished stones ready for, you know, to be shipped to jewelers. That's one thing. But if we're talking about like strip mining, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It reminds me a lot of the conversation around like leather and faux leather, you know, and it's like, well, if we have these alternatives, why not just use the alternatives or like, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But I think with a lot of like vegetarian and veganism, the counterpoint is like, well, at least we eat these. We need them for food or for eggs or whatever. With jewelry, there's like it's literally by definition vanity.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like it's harder to make a counter argument to that, I think.
I agree. Bad vibes. I think let's just all wear fake shit and be glad that we're not destroying everybody because of it.
Sustainability. Yeah. It's all about sustainability. Or consume less stuff. You know, there's a lot of great vintage leather jackets out there that don't require like killing another cow or lamb or whatever.
You know what? I do agree with you, but I have to tell you this. The vintage shops lately are getting bold. It's like after COVID, when everybody like discovered they could go vintage shopping, it's gotten insane. Okay, like I remember when
Price-wise?
I used to go. Yeah, price-wise.
Okay.
Price-wise, but also like when people do find a good thrift shop, even if it's just like, you know, like a little charity shop that's like run by a church or something, everybody take to social media. They're all on TikTok being like, you guys got to come check this out. And then it's swarmed. I'm serious. It really is. It's just like Clyde Cider Mill.
It's a bummer because I think that if you're not in like a really big city, like even in DC, and I also think for men it's harder in general. There's just less of a propensity for men to go shopping for thrifting, I should say.
Fellas, is it gay to thrift shop?
Good question, Geoff.
That's the attitude.
We're posing that to our listeners.
I don't like shopping. I'm not doing that. Listeners, chime in below in the comments. Let us know. Is it gay to thrift shop?
Actually, I think straight men only shop at Tractor Supply. I think that's the rule.
Girl, I went in Tractor Supply the other day because that's where I get Drogo's litter from. Shout out to the horse pellets because they are a great alternative, very sustainable compared to like clay. Okay, we got to talk about that at some point. Clay in the litter, guys, it is so bad for the environment and it's also not sustainable. Like we're running low on clay. Nobody wants to talk about this.
Damn.
I'm talking about it.
I didn't know about that.
Now you know. Guess what, Justin? How much money do you spend on a box of litter for Mochi?
Too much. We're talking like probably
like $24.
Yeah, I was gonna say $30.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of scratch. Guess how much I spend on Drogo's litter once a month for 40 pounds?
15?
$7.50.
Damn. That's crazy.
Well, actually, I think it's like, because they, like everything raised the prices a little bit. Still not bad, but I think it's like $7.89, I think.
Damn.
But $8 for 40 pounds of litter lasts Drogo all month. That's amazing.
Okay, this is noted. Next litter shop, I'm going to have to get some of these. What are they called? Horse pellets?
I'm going to send you a photo of it. It's pine pellets, but it's sold as horse bedding at Tractor Supply. But I went into Tractor Supply the other day to get it. They used to have a nice section in the front that had sometimes cute, sometimes extremely tacky Christmas stuff, which that was kind of one of my secret places to get Christmas decor every now and then, or any holiday decor.
This is no shade to Tractor Supply. I got to say, like, it reminds me of that store Meats and Things from Parks and Rec.
From Parks and Rec, yes.
Stuff. Yeah. It's just, I think it's a great store, reasonable prices. They have great stuff there.
And they have great customer service, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
They're always so friendly and helpful. No shade to Tractor Supply whatsoever.
But you don't have to buy all your clothes there either,
No, but the whole section where they used to have all the cute holiday decor in our local Tractor Supply, girl, is all Carhartt jackets, hats, boots. Boots the hats down.
Apparel, yeah.
It's crazy.
Boots the hats down.
But I'm like, how many people are buying this? And while I was there, I'm not even kidding, I looked over, like, I had to go to the back of the store to get the horse bedding, come up to the front, 3 dudes and their girlfriends or wives standing around while they're looking for new Carhartt jackets, while they're already wearing Carhartt jackets. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on in that other part of the internet? I need to know.
The other part of the internet. The dark side of the internet.
The dork-sided.
2 years ago when we had it was like a disco cowboy themed New Year's Eve party, I think.
Yes.
Right? I went to Tractor Supply to get my cowboy hat and the bolo tie.
Did you love that hat? I feel like I'm trying to remember what it looked like.
It was like it was just a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I thought it was white. It was giving Dale Dimmy Dome.
Dale Dimmadome. Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Oh, did you see Beyonce do the F1 race in Las Vegas?
No. What do you mean? Was she like announcing the start?
No, she did a lap in the car.
In the car?
It wasn't like during the thing, but she like got in the car and drove it, and Jay-Z was so nervous. Also, this is so funny, Justin. Somebody, I don't even remember where I saw this. I'm going to look for it after and we'll put it in the show notes. But I found this hilarious TikTok the other day that did like a disembodied, just like the voice recording of Jay-Z from one of Beyonce's documentaries talking to her. And somebody said, put it like to a white background and just wrote, tell me this does not sound like Maya Angelou. And the way he was talking, I was like, oh my God, he really sounds literally just like Maya Angelou. It's crazy.
Honestly, kind of a flex for Jay-Z.
Could you imagine? I know why they can't. That's a bad Maya Angelou. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. Nope. Delete.
Okay, Geoff, before we move into some hot topics, I want to issue a correction.
Oh, dear.
Because I have received a text message from friend of the pod. We love her dearly, Sarah. She was on an episode last year.
Yeah. Wait, was this a correction about me or about you?
It was about me, so you can side with her.
And it's a point for me.
Yeah.
And it's a point for me. Okay.
So this is because Sarah is a massive fan of the franchise The Mummy, which we did talk about 2 weeks ago on the pod.
Yes.
And I think I erroneously said that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz were returning for a third Mummy film.
Yeah.
So I did know at the time, and I misspoke, that there were 3 Mummy films. All 3 starred Brendan Fraser, but the third one did not star Rachel Weisz. So this will be Rachel Weisz's third Mummy film, but not Brendan Fraser's.
Okay.
Of course, there was also the Scorpion King spinoff, originally starring The Rock, and there were like 4 or 5 of those, which is wild. I didn't even know about those.
That is wild.
Sarah wanted me to confirm on the pod, live on air, that indeed this is not the 3rd Mummy film. It is the 4th, although rumors are saying that this film will ignore the events of the 3rd film. So it will be The Mummy 3 in some respects.
Okay, so it's like the 3rd one didn't happen.
Exactly.
They said reset.
They said nobody liked that one, except for Sarah.
They said, let's run it back, except for Sarah.
Sarah, big stan. Also, she was saying that she's a big stan of the Avatar films, which we were talking shit about, I believe, in the last episode.
Now, you know what? I'm going to have to pass on that one. Okay.
Do you want to talk about High School Musical, or should we get into Hot Topics?
Oh, wait. I surely do want to talk about High School Musical, and I would argue this is, in fact, a hot topic, Justin.
Okay, so why don't we get into some hot
topics? Okay, the other day, I texted our home friends. I said, I'm not doing anything tonight. Do y'all want to come over and watch a movie? Everybody said, yeah. So all 7 of us piled into my little living room, gathered round the TV just like Norman Rockwell described in his many illustrations, or depicted in his many illustrations.
Mm-hmm.
And we put on a little film called High School Musical, because in discussing what movie we should watch, it was revealed to the all in attendance that I had never seen High School Musical. And they said, let's correct this immediately. So at Allie's behest, we put it on TV. And I have to tell you, Justin, it was fucking hilarious. Have you seen it?
Well, I was there when you all watched it. I don't know if you recall, but this was the same weekend.
Oh my God. I forgot. Damn, I forgot.
This is the same weekend that we recorded the Bugonia episode, so I was there in person watching it. We just haven't had a chance to talk about our viewing experience because there's been so many hot topics recently. But yeah, I was there to watch. I think I had only seen part of the film before, just like kind of through memes and videos and like catching it here and there. But I don't think I'd ever sat down and watched the entire thing before.
And by the way, Justin, you know I love your company. I can't believe I forgot you weren't there. I just like always assume that like it's always me, Allie, Anna, Andrew, Sam, and Hannah.
It's okay.
Like I always think it's just us.
It's okay.
But you surely were there.
I was indeed.
And so was Brandy.
She was. Fun fact about High School Musical, Geoff.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that a musical does not actually take place in the film High School Musical?
Well, I would not have known that until I watched the film.
I was shocked.
I was shocked too.
I also assumed that the climax would be the musical, the titular musical.
Exactly. So did I. It was crazy. That this film was made and then also released is wild to me because it is fully bad. The acting is all over the place. The plot makes little sense. But I have to say some of the characters and the big choices that the actors made are very funny. I love that theater teacher who's like budget Meryl Streep.
Yeah, she's like clearly just watched The Devil Wears Prada. She's like, I'm doing that.
Yeah, but dressing like Meryl Streep. Big scarves, glasses, hair in a big updo with a big old clip in the back of your head.
Yep.
And a cardigan that's like so long and she's always pulling it around herself because she's a little chilly.
This was, I think, peak DCOM, or for those not in the know, Disney Channel original movie.
Oh,
so
DCOM.
High School Musical began as a Disney Channel original movie, and then only the 3rd one was actually released in theaters. Like the first 2 were just direct-to-TV films.
And I love that.
Yeah, it has that vibe.
It absolutely does, and it's kind of fun. It's like such a crunchy movie, you know what I mean?
What do you mean by crunchy? I actually don't know what you mean.
Crunchy, like, you ever eat something and it's like sort of displeasing, but the taste is good, like the texture's bad, and you're like, ah, it's like crunchy. I don't know. I don't know. In my mind, this makes sense. Maybe this is just a me thing, but it's like crunchy to me is like when something is like bad and also good.
I've never heard that word before.
But it's not like a portmanteau of like raunchy and crunchy or cringe, but it sort of like to me means like a cringe thing.
Okay. Like a cringe thing, but something that you enjoy.
But enjoyable. Yeah. Good junk. You know how I always say, oh, this is good junk.
I mean, this movie was objectively bad, but was very fun to watch, would be my overall take.
But with people. This is a movie to watch with people. Like, I'm not watching this or any of the others on my own.
Geoff, can I get a quick Charli alert?
Okay, Charlie alert!
Because A24 has just released the teaser for Charli's film, The Moment. This film is based on an original idea from Charli XCX, of course, stars Charli. It's directed by Aiden Zamiri, who is the director of the 360 music video. It's written by him and also the music journalist Bertie Brandis. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. It also stars Kate Berland, Alexander Skarsgård, Kylie Jenner, Rachel Sennett, many others who I'm assuming are playing themselves because this seems to be like a hybrid mockumentary, documentary type comedy film.
Yeah.
Geoff, have you seen this trailer?
I have. And I have to say, people that have epilepsy may not want to watch it. I think it should have come with a warning.
It's funny because there was this is a teaser trailer, so it's like maybe a minute and a half long. There was like an announcement of the trailer that was just the flashing lights portion, and it was preceded by like an epilepsy warning. And in the trailer, somebody I believe is watching that announcement, like flashing lights thing. And then somebody says, "Is this supposed to be painful?"
Yeah.
So I think that it's intentionally like really intense and crazy. But yeah, like I usually don't have any problems with flashing lights or strobing, and this was like difficult to look at.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I was really enjoying that part of the trailer where a dummy falls from the stage and shatters, and she turns and goes, "Is that supposed to be me?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's supposed to be you." And she goes, "Okay." It's so funny.
I'm very interested in this. This is not, I guess I didn't know what to expect from this when Charli first announced it, but it reminds me a lot of something like Spinal Tap or This Is Spinal Tap from like the 80s.
Very that. Yep.
Which of course during that moment, like the biggest genre around was rock, and glam rock was really blowing up around that time. So it made sense to like kind of spoof that now that like pop girly culture is kind of the primary form of pop music. I think it's interesting to see a version of that is attacking that specific genre, right? And I mean, we've seen that a little bit, like Pop Star Never Stop Stopping or whatever, I think was a Lonely Island produced comedy mockumentary starring Andy Samberg. That was pretty funny and good. But like having a real pop star kind of play herself, and it looks like they're repurposing actual like footage from her interviews on late night shows and stuff like that as well, kind of blurring the boundary between fact and fiction. I think it's a pretty cool angle. I'm excited to watch it.
It is fun. I'm excited to see it. You know, we love A24. We do love Charli.
A24 is smart about picking up these, you know, like young, skewing, but still like very artistically valid projects, I feel like. And this feels like one of those to me. So very cool.
All right. Well, let's talk about this great meme reset.
Geoff, if I were to say the words to you 6'7", what would that mean to you?
All I know is it is driving my friends who are teachers nuts because the kids keep saying that, like relentlessly.
Thankfully, I don't interact with like teenagers very much in my life, but I understand that the Gen Alphas have coined the 6'7" meme their own. One of the truly like post AI Gen Alpha memes. I did some research into where it originates from. It originates from a Skrilla song. Skrilla is a Philly-based rapper.
I actually know who that is, believe it or not.
And apparently, this song was used in a bunch of like edits of NBA 2K videos. And then following the use in those edits, there was this YouTube video that went viral of this kid saying 6'7" after one of his like schoolmates scored a shot. And that went viral. And now everybody's just saying 6'7" without any context all the time, just as like a, hey, you also know what 6'7" is?
Yeah.
Like 6'7".
Oh, what is that called when it's like a if you know you know thing? They say it's like a something test. Dog whistle.
That's the thing about 6'7" is that it's not a dog whistle for anything.
Because it
it's
doesn't
just
mean
like
anything.
Exactly. It's completely
it's just a cultural
meaningless.
reference.
Yeah. So that brings us to the great meme reset. So there's this Wired article that I was reading, and I thought it was interesting because there's this TikTok creator who I don't know his age, but my guess is that he's either younger millennial or Gen Z. And he is proposing a great meme reset on January 1st, 2026.
This is Jack Dorsey, right?
Jack Dorsey is you're talking about the Twitter guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Jack Dorsey, it's Noah Glenn Carter. And we'll link
Jack Dorsey is
He's the Twitter
co-founder.
Guy. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, there's too many white people to keep track of, you know?
I'll link Noah Glenn Carter's TikTok in the show notes, as always.
Okay.
But he is proposing that we basically move back to like 2015, 2016 era memes starting January 1st, and we stop doing memes like 6'7", or there's a lot of also like AI generated memes that are also kind of meaningless. by the nature of AI, right?
Right.
And I guess I was just thinking about this, and my question to you, Geoff, is do you think that
Yes.
the dank meme era of the internet, which I would say it was like when millennials like us were really in our 20s, coming of age era,
You're in our prime.
do you think that those memes had more meaning than the memes that are around today? Or do you think this is just like generational conflict that people like to stoke in the media?
Yeah, I do think that there's quite a bit of generational conflict because, like, what does free Shavakadu mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's just, again, it's just another like cultural reference point. It's like, oh, you've seen it too. Great. So you'll understand my joke,
Yeah.
my reference. I do think this happens with every generation. People are like, this makes no sense. And it's like, yeah, but we did lots of things that made no sense either. What about planking? Remember when we did that? That also meant nothing. It was just something funny to do.
It meant nothing, but I will say the photos were funny to me. I guess,
Well, that's what they think about the 6-7 videos and stuff too. Like, it's funny to them.
but I guess I just don't like what is, and I know that you're not, we're not talking to somebody who's part of Gen Alpha or even like Gen Z here.
Excuse me, I'm very Gen Z.
Oh, sorry, Geoff. You are a Gen Z, my bad. So as our Gen Z representative, Geoff, videos are not even the things going viral. It's just people saying 6-7, right? Like there's no like funny moments where people are saying 6-7 and that's going viral. So like it's not been positively received in terms of like video virality. It's just something that comes out in person that people are just repeating. You know what I mean? I feel like the plank photos, people would take pictures of planking and then post them on social media. People are
Yeah.
not like taking videos of themselves saying 6-7 and being like, look, I said 6-7 here, right? It's just something that they say.
It feels like you're trying to get to something deeper. So, what are your real thoughts about what's happening and why this is happening?
I don't have like a thesis. I'm just observing the difference between something like planking, which I think is like, you know, we all remember the plank on top of like the McDonald's Golden Arches.
Oh my God,
right?
truly iconic.
That was right. Like that's incredible. Even just somebody standing on top of the Golden Arches would be like a pretty wild photo, right? And I think planking is also just like absurdist on top of the Golden Arches. And like it has like an automatic kind of like whoa factor. The 6-7 thing, people are not taking pictures or taking videos of themselves shouting 6-7 in like weird places. It's just something that they're saying in real life, you know? Like that's a important difference between something like planking from our generation and 6-7.
I just don't think they're that different. I kind of feel like this guy, Jack Dorsey, is doing a bit of like fanning the flames of intergenerational infighting.
Just to clarify, Jack Dorsey is the founder of Twitter. He's not the TikTok guy who posted the great meme reset thing. Just one more time. You keep mixing up these white men, you know?
Okay, I don't remember them. This is Joe Bro.
Noah Glenn Carter TikTok is the guy who has started the meme reset.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Delete this whole section. Go ahead and delete this whole section. Next hot topic, please.
Next hot topic, Geoff. And we're moving into Wicked.
Well, a good one this time.
We're moving into Wicked. Okay, we're moving into Wicked because we are going to be talking about Ariana Grande Butera.
Yes.
Who was recently on the Good Hang podcast with Amy Poehler.
Great episode. I highly recommend everybody watch it.
A great episode, and I hate to say that our influence has been felt yet again, but on this episode, she told Amy Poehler that the Eternal Sunshine Tour, which she is embarking on next year, I believe, is going to be her last hurrah, quote unquote, for performance at least. Yeah, for a while. She didn't say she's retiring. She didn't say she's permanently leaving music or anything like that. But she did say that it would be her last hurrah. Of course, in a previous episode, we did predict that Ariana might transition to a more acting heavy or theater heavy career path after Wicked.
Writing was on the wall, TLC.
I will say, quick caveat is that in a following New York Times article, she did say, you know, music will always be a part of my life. And I think she said something like, I have to say that or my fans are going to have heart attacks, basically.
As described in our episode where we discussed this too.
Exactly. So, Geoff, what do you think about this? Are you bummed to not have Ariana music coming in the near future or what?
Well, if I were her, I would be like, this is my last hurrah too. Y'all don't deserve me, because Eternal Sunshine was slept on by everybody. It was such a great album, beautifully sung, wonderful songs. She co-produced or produced all the tracks, which is very impressive. By the way, have you ever seen my girl on, she doesn't do it often, but she sometimes releases videos or will live stream her like actually like in the studio. And by studio, I usually mean on her laptop at home, like laying down lyrics and like self-harmonizing and running it all through Logic herself. It's pretty impressive.
I think I remember us talking about this during either the last Wicked episode or it was on our favorite music of the year episode. Yeah.
Very impressive. She's just like a genius with Logic Pro. It's crazy. She just does it so quick. And she don't need no man. And you know what? I think people didn't like this album because they're all very jealous. Jumping around the corner like a rat looking for food.
You are such a stan. Okay, that was not
Justin,
the question. I said, are you bummed to not are you bummed to not have more Ariana music coming in the near future?
Well, you know, I always love to hear what she's going to produce, but she deserves to take time for herself and do what she wants to do. But I don't blame her. I'd be like, fuck all y'all. You didn't like my music. You don't appreciate me. Steve, you're going to miss me when I'm gone. How about that?
I mean, here's the thing is, listen, you and I, we disagree about the Ariana album. I think we agree that she's an incredible vocalist, one of the best vocalists of her generation, no question, in pop music. We disagree about like the creative direction of the album, and that's fine. We can have different opinions.
You can be wrong.
Here's something that I think we can also agree about, which is that this Wicked press tour, combined with the press tour for the album, combined with the tour following this For Good press tour,
exhausting,
must have been grueling. Yeah. Like Ariana got rushed in, what was it, Singapore recently, which in a very scary incident where a fan jumped the barricades.
That man is awful. He has done that to so many celebrities. It's crazy. He's done it to Katy Perry 2 different times, like while she's on stage performing, which is insane. He did it to The Weeknd. He's done it to Ariana. I think he did it to somebody else too, who's like a little bit not as big as those kind of A-listers that I just named. But
and he openly says, like, I'm basically just doing it for like trolly content.
Yeah.
Not that it's ever excusable.
But it's so weird. He like posts on it afterwards and will be like, oh, thanks so much for having me on stage, and then tags a person. It's so fucking weird. He's like unwell. He's like mentally unwell.
Especially with Ariana, who of course went through the horrible like Manchester attack.
Seriously. It's awful the way that people are treated. And honestly, especially Ariana Grande, like she is like a tiny human. And I can't imagine being her size. Try being her size, Amy. I can't imagine being her size and like trying to navigate this world where people have like bizarre parasocial relationships with you. I don't think I'd like that at all. That's very scary. And she definitely has PTSD from the Manchester bombing at her concert.
I think that the stress of the press tour is coming through because like Cynthia Erivo, for example, was ill, or she had like her voice was weak, I think, because she had some kind of illness. So she didn't take any questions or interviews at the Wicked for Good premiere. And then Ariana, in solidarity, was like, I'm also not going to be doing any interviews. So like it seems like it's just been a really trying press cycle for them, you know, because Wicked 1 premiere, Wicked 1 award season tour, right? Straight into Wicked 2 promo. And then now, spoiler alert, I think that Ariana is very likely to get nominated for Best Supporting Actress this coming Oscar season.
As well she should.
We have another award season tour on top of her music tour where she's touring her album. Like it's a little bit unsustainable, I feel like. So I guess what I'm saying is I agree with you, and I totally understand why you would want to maybe step away and take a little bit of rest. Although it does seem like she's taken on a couple of acting roles in the near future as well, or that she's just finished up. So it seems like she's going full steam ahead on the acting front.
She's filming the Meet the Fockers. I don't know. It's not a prequel, trequel?
I think it's a sequel,
or sequel?
But
I don't know. I think there's Meet the Fockers, then there was another one where it's like a little bit further ahead, and
Meet the Parents was the original, right? And then there was Meet the Fockers was the second one.
Oh, you're right. Meet the Parents, then Meet the Fockers. I want to say maybe there's been another one in that ilk. I don't know if it's a prequel or what. But anyways, she's filming possibly the second sequel.
Yeah.
Right now. With Beanie Feldstein, very funny, and some other folks.
The next generation of Fockers, basically.
Could be.
Is that the premise?
I'm not exactly certain. I don't know the premise, really. But I do want to say this is just breaking over the weekend. Ariana Grande does have COVID, so we hope that she gets better. It's likely, but not confirmed, that Cynthia Erivo also had or has COVID.
Yeah, could explain the voice situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just...
get well soon, Ari. Take good care.
Yeah.
I love you.
Get some rest. These like press junkets seem intense, you know?
It's so exhausting. I can't imagine.
I mean, they were pounding the pavement around the Wicked one time. I mean, we all remember the holding space thing. Like, there were so many interviews, so many things.
Somebody was that interviewer for Halloween I saw on TikTok. It was making me laugh so hard. She had the blazer and the hair, the pompadour.
It's a good costume.
I loved it. It was very good.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know. I think the Wicked for Good press tour in some ways was a little bit more muted, partially because like I think the fire had already been lit on the Wicked like excitement, but also because like I think everybody's just fucking tired. So I don't know how to square that circle, right? Because if you want to make a successful film, you have to have your actors out in front of the press, right?
Well, I think that they were very strategic about what outlets they chose to promote this on this time. Like they did some interviews and things, and then they had, of course, their special on NBC, which I believe was like the highest viewed special NBC's produced in the last 10 years, aside from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So it was hugely successful in its own right and was great promotion for the film. And, you know, everybody is looking forward to, or has been looking forward to, Wicked for Good because the first one was such an enormous success. Also, I will say that, like, yes, you want your actors out there. And they did do some appearances, like Ariana Grande was on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
I mean, good hang.
I'm sure they did lots of others. Good hang, of course. But their marketing team, girl, they have like co-branded with fucking everything from dishwasher detergent to, I don't know, meal delivery services with DoorDash. It's crazy the amount of cross-promotion and synergistic branding that they've done.
Oh, yeah. The Hollywood execs are rubbing their hands together at this franchise for sure.
Oh, God. The billionaires.
But speaking of Wicked, Geoff, why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, we'll get deep into the newest Wicked film, Wicked for Good.
And we're back.
Geoff.
Justin.
Wicked for Good.
Yes.
The time has finally come. This is the much anticipated sequel to last year's Wicked. It is based on the second half of the 2003 stage musical of the same name, which of course was itself based on the 1995 novel.
Mm-hmm.
This sequel was filmed back-to-back with the first, so it was also directed by John Chu and also stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo as Galinda or Glinda and Elphaba.
Indeed.
So Geoff, before we get into the new film, very quick reminder, how'd you feel about the first one?
Oh, a very quick reminder. I thought it was fucking incredible. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, I know, I'm saying for the listeners.
I know, I'm telling them. It was fucking incredible.
I had basically no context with Wicked before I saw the first film, and I had like low expectations.
I have to tell you the same, remember? I never saw the Broadway musical.
Right, you had never seen it before. Neither of us had seen it, but I tend to not like musicals, like theater or film. So I had pretty low expectations going into the first one. And I was like kind of surprised pleasantly by the political nature of the plot and by the acting performances. I think we talked a lot in our episode about how good, especially Ariana Grande was, but also Cynthia Erivo. I think my biggest issue was the character of Glinda and how that character would resolve in the second film, because she is so annoying and so like privileged in a way that doesn't seem to give that she knows that she is so privileged. And I struggled with that in the first episode. We'll put the link to that first episode in the show notes if you want to re-listen. But that's my thoughts on the first Wicked. Geoff, what are your overall thoughts about this sequel, Wicked for Good?
Okay. I do think that they had a very difficult job. Well, firstly, I do not think that this should have been broken up into two films. I will die on this hill.
Mm-hmm.
That is because of the source material. The original play, which I have now read the book and I've watched, I think like I've seen the show in its entirety in clips on YouTube, save for maybe a few lines that weren't captured. But I think that the flaw with the source material, which is the 2003 stage production of Wicked, is that the second act is much weaker than the first. And it is an enormous tone shift. And it does the issue that I have with so many things where they jump forward in time, because it feels like a lot of the momentum that you have built in the first half has really been lost. And so I think that this film had a difficult job to do because the source material is already weaker than the source material reference for the first film. The thing about Wicked is that it's a story that doesn't have a happy ending, nor does it have an ending that really feels resolved. And so I think that those things made it a little bit less favorably received by critics. Audiences are loving it. It's at a 97% on the tomato meter for the audience score.
For the audience rating, yeah.
The critical score is much lower. I think it's like 73 when I last checked. It's hard, but I do think that this film overall was very well done considering the job that they had before them.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, I would say, my overall thoughts. And what about you? What did you think?
Well, I'm glad to hear. It sounds like you had a lot of the same issues that I had with the film. So I believe I knew a little bit about where things were headed in part 2. I had heard vibes. The second half is not as good as the first. Most of the best songs were in the first half.
100%.
But I didn't really know where the characters ended up. Like, I didn't know how Glinda and Elphaba ended up in the final act. What I'll say in terms of positives here, Ariana Grande still absolutely lights out.
God.
Like, and also the pipes in this particular, like, she was always a great vocalist in the first one as well, but the pipes and some of the falsetto and like whistle notes that she does in this second installment are like really incredible and crazy.
Agree.
So I think she will be nominated for Best Supporting Actress. I think she is deserving, but I don't think that the movie is ultimately as successful as the first one.
I agree.
And for me, that is largely because of the subtext or the political themes of the second one compared to the first one. So the first one was very much a narrative about a woman who is being oppressed, who realizes that the oppression is not her fault and has this sense of righteous fury and evolves into a revolutionary over the course of the first film. The second film's political message is like honestly very dark and kind of centrist in a lot of ways. It basically says, and this is not necessarily a spoiler, but like it is essentially saying like, if you want to make change, you have to do it the right way and the right person has to be doing it.
Yep.
And I understand like maybe if the tone was really nailed in and honed perfectly, you might be able to pull that off. But because Wicked, the first one, and had such a light tone and a comedic tone and was often campy, the second one felt the need to continue that tone, I think, for like marketing and likability reasons. The second film is, in terms of subject matter, so dark. Like we now know that like many of these animals are like enslaved servants to these people. But at the same time, you still have like a lot of slapstick attempts at jokes and you still have Glinda doing a lot of hair flipping. And it just feels like tonally inconsistent. And for that reason, the political messaging, it feels really bad to me. So that was kind of what I enjoyed about the first film, was how surprised I was about like its politics. So that was a real hit for me in watching the second one. And then on top of that, for a musical number to really hit for me and for it to be something that I really enjoy, it's got to be great. Because like I said, I'm not really a musical person.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't anything that was on the level of Defying Gravity in this movie. Right. And I know that that's like an impossible task because Defying Gravity is like canonically one of the best musical theater numbers out there. Right. So I understand that that's an impossible task. And yet, you have to compare it, right? Like you have to compare it to that film. So yeah, for me, it was a mixed bag. I have like some other small issues that I had with it, but I think that if the movie were as triumphant and successful in its ending as the first Wicked was, I wouldn't have nitpicked those things, right?
Sure.
It felt a little bit marvelly, the introduction of all these characters from The Wizard of Oz, like how their origin stories.
Boy. Yeah, we gotta get into this. Let's talk. Now, listeners, there are spoilers ahead. So if you have not watched it and plan to and want to be surprised, now's a good time to tune out.
What's up, y'all? Editor Justin here. If you want to skip spoilers for Wicked for good, you can hop up to the 1:12:45 timestamp. All right, let's get back to the show.
Spoilers abound, F-slurs. But yes, the introduction of so many of those characters, I think the same thing is wrong with the source material, right? The whole premise of this musical was that it's like setting up the events of The Wizard of Oz, right? So that we can understand like what happens. Where did these people come from? Let's see this from the perspective not of Dorothy and her friends, but of, I would argue the first movie is more like a perspective from Elphaba, and the second movie is more from the perspective of Glinda.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that it makes it tough when, like, you know that this movie is, like, really working to set up the events of this other thing that we know happens, and everyone knows the story and everyone understands how it goes. And I think that that also is what makes this tough, because I think some of the things feel a little bit forced and contrived.
Absolutely. And that's where the Marvelification of
Mhm.
this movie comes in, because it's the same way that you have like this post-credit scene and like half of the crowd is like, I don't know who this guy is. And the other half is like, oh my God.
Wait, I did not know there was a post-credits scene.
There's not a post-credit scene to Wicked, just to
Oh,
be clear. But some of the character like cameos, like
you're
the
saying this is
Cowardly
about, like, in a
Lion.
Marvel film?
Yes. Like
Yes, okay.
when the Cowardly Lion had like his like 10 seconds of FaceTime, you know, I was like, was this necessary?
Oh, okay. Let's talk about this for a second. The Cowardly Lion is a little bitch, because this is fucking ridiculous. His whole thing is the reason he doesn't like Elphaba is because she stole him from his cage, which was the only home he ever knew,
Where
and
he was being
released
kept
him.
as a slave, basically.
It's
right?
like, oh, so you're mad at her because she gave you, she emancipated you from slavery? Okay. What? Like, that makes no sense.
And maybe that could, like, you know, there's a seed there. Like,
Uncle
maybe
Tom ass bitch.
if they spent more time on that character, maybe we could have developed that. But instead, it just seems like we got to show them the Cowardly Lion because this is Wizard of Oz. So let's get it out of the way, and then it's over. You never see him again.
Yeah.
Similar with like the Tin Man and Nessa, or Bach and Nessa, which I think Ethan Slater is his name. Right?
Yes.
I think he was, and I'm apologies to this man, garbage in this film.
Wait,
Like,
okay,
bad.
this is so interesting. I actually thought he was great as the Tin Man. That scene, I thought he did a great job. I was like, wow, okay, I think now I know you're actually an actor.
During his conversation with Nessa, he is like I literally could not see SpongeBob.
That was bad.
Like, bad. And I understand that he did play SpongeBob, but ugh.
I know, I understand what you mean. That is tough.
I guess, like, as the Tin Man, he has one, like, emotion, and it's rage.
Yeah.
And, like, that's all we ever see. Right?
Which he portrayed well.
Which I guess I can't blame Ethan Slater for that. That's, again, goes back to the writing and the need to shoehorn this character into the narrative. Something that I have learned in, like, reading a little bit about the musical is that the movie shows a lot more of, like, Dorothy and her party walking together, whereas a lot more of that is off screen in the musical. Because, like, it brings up questions about, like, wait, why is the Scarecrow with Dorothy? Like, why is the Tin Man, like, why are these characters even traveling together? Because that doesn't even, they show them traveling together in the film, but they never explain, like, why these characters are together in the first place. Like, Dorothy is actually completely a non-character. She's essentially just like a pawn.
Yep.
I mean, I don't have like a strong connection to the Wizard of Oz, but I would basically, it asks the question, like, why is she even here? It's just for like the nostalgia bait, I think.
I get what you're saying, but I like that we don't see Dorothy in the movie, really. Like,
I want to see her less. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I do, the scene of, I think this was really well shot and, like, conceived, but the scene when the flying monkeys grab her and all we're seeing is, like, her feet being lifted away from the earth by the monkeys and her party standing down there on the Yellow Brick Road. I thought that was really good. I thought that was very well done.
I just guess, like, all of these Dorothy connections, I didn't need them, because the core of the Wicked story is Elphaba and Glinda.
Yeah.
And, like, hilariously, Elphaba just throws Dorothy in a dungeon, and then they sing For Good for like 10 minutes.
Dude, okay, when that happened, I was talking to Hannah was sitting next to me, and I leaned over and I was like, imagine Dorothy being underneath this while they're singing, being like, what the fuck are
exactly, I had the exact same thought.
Funny.
I was singing that the whole time, which is not the sign of a really immersive, like, movie, right? It's like Dorothy is just thrown in there for no reason, you know? Like,
Okay, yes. And so again, like, it's hard to criticize the film without also criticizing the source material.
Right. I think I have more of a problem with the source material. Yeah.
Just so that everyone understands, when I'm talking about the story, the narrative aspects of this film, I'm also talking about the source material. Mm-hmm. So I think an issue here for me too is I know the story of The Wizard of Oz very well because I loved that movie as a kid and watched it, like, to the point where my VHS tape, like, wore out and, like, we had to get another one. So I loved this film, and, like, I understand the lore of that film, which is that those ruby slippers, which in the
silver, they were silver in the film. What's going on with that?
Okay, because the original book, The Wizard of Oz, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the shoes are silver. They turned them red in the movie The Wizard of Oz because they wanted to use
Technicolor. Yeah.
Technicolor, right, and it would show up great. So
That
it was,
is
yeah.
unnecessarily convoluted. I would have chosen to make them red, you know?
Yes, I do know. It's tough because it's like the version of this story of Oz that's most popular is the MGM film from the 1930s.
Yep.
And so that makes it tough because the original storybook, which was like a children's book, a lot of people knew but don't know that story as well as the film. So we're battling with a couple different things.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I wouldn't be nitpicking if I was more sold on the film, right? Like I would
Sure.
have let these little nitpick things go, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah, I wasn't as blown away by this one as the first one.
Yeah, but the whole conceit of the slippers is that the ruby slippers or silver slippers, whatever, are that they themselves contain magical properties. And I don't think in the film, anyway, and I don't recall in the play, that it was well conveyed that when Elphaba enchanted Nessa Rosa's shoes, these slippers, that she actually imbued them with magical power.
And that's the time that they turned red was when Nessa was flying, right?
Yes. And so like the conceit was that those have some of Elphaba's power stored within them. And that is why in the movie The Wizard of Oz she wants them back because it will make her more powerful and make her fight as we, know it to be from the story Wicked, more likely to succeed. But I don't think they explain that in the movie at all. And the other thing is that once they're on someone's feet, they can't be taken off unless they're willfully given.
The ruby slippers or the silver slippers or whatever
Yeah.
didn't even need to be in this narrative.
An object of focus. Yeah.
Like, and we didn't need to know all these rules. And it's kind of just like, that's the Marvel vibe of it, is that it's so concerned about shoehorning in these things that it will like twist the characters' motivations and twist like the narrative and the plotting of the film to include them. And I think that was an issue that I did have with it.
Yeah, that part makes it really tough. I mean, I could go on talking more about like particular plot points that were tough for me, and I won't.
Let's talk about like what I think was for me the biggest issue, which was the ending and kind of like the seeming moral of the entire work, right? Which is Elphaba fails in her revolution. It seems like none of the people who live in Oz understand her goals. The animals refuse to support her in her goals. So she kind of goes bad, although she doesn't really do it. Like that timing in the movie is very short, right? She doesn't actually do anything that villainous other than she kidnaps Dorothy.
Yeah, I mean, the pacing of the movie is something we should talk about too.
If she's going to go villain, we need to see her do some bad stuff. And it felt like she went villain, kidnapped Dorothy, and then For Good was sung right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elphaba fakes her own death. As far as Glinda knows, she's dead, right? Glinda is not in on the death. Glinda takes over as the leader of Oz because apparently she has learned something from Elphaba and says, now I'm going to become a good person. It took me this long. It took me my literal best friend literally dying. Now I'm going to start doing some good stuff. Like, which, by the way, quick note, Glinda, at any point in the course of either film, you could have just been an ally and supported her, and maybe she wouldn't have had to die, right? And now, because it's Glinda delivering these political messages, everybody in Oz is like, woo, Glinda, who's like literally like the white witch. And this being in a story that's literally explicitly about a woman who's being oppressed because of the color of her skin, portrayed by a black actress, is like really tough. That is so tough. And as far as everybody in Oz knows, Elphaba still is the Wicked Witch of the West, right? Her symbology is still all over the place in Oz. For that to be the end of Wicked and that to be the message that's coming across feels like really tough for me, but I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Well, this is where the movie departs quite a bit from the musical, which is interesting. Okay, well, firstly, I should say this. The whole narrative of like Elphaba being a revolutionary, wanting to free the animals and restore their ability to speak and, basically do what they want in the world and roam freely. That in the second act of the musical is like basically completely thrown aside. So I was glad for the change in the film that they made this a continuation, like a continual part of who Elphaba is and why she's doing all this stuff and trying to like lead this fight.
Yeah, she did write in bright red marker on her map, save the animals just in case she ever forgot. So that was nice.
That was a bit much. I was like, okay.
Also, how are the giraffes getting into that hole?
Girl, there was a lot of questions I had, and this is where I'm talking about. These little things, like you said, it took me out of it, and I'm like, I can't suspend disbelief here because like it just doesn't visually make sense. And so that was tough. The literal underground railroad under the yellow brick road was wild.
Yes.
Also, this whole other section of the world of Oz where it's like the vast desert of nothingness. They're like, oh, this is the place we're going to go and try to make new lives instead of fighting for their home is crazy.
Her and the scarecrow are just fucking in the desert until the end of time.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. By the way,
no chemistry. No chemistry. Is that what you're going to say between?
I would say that, yeah, it was a little bit tough. She's singing to him in, I'm trying to remember the name of that song.
As Long As You're Mine.
Yeah. So she's singing, As Long As You're Mine, which, by the way, is supposed to be like a very like kind of sexual song. It's supposed to be very sensual and filled with like romance.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of fell flat for me, especially while he's like in the next room and she's singing to him. And he's like looking through all of her like
save the animals signs,
all the propaganda thing. Yeah, the save the animals on the wall. I'm like, okay, that is odd to me. Also, they made Jonathan Bailey, I noticed, wear like these, I think they were gray or maybe blue contacts, which was so weird because he didn't in the first film as far as I can remember.
I didn't even catch that.
And he also had like bad highlights in this film, which I don't remember if that was, I think that was the case in the first film too. But I thought that was weird because he is so beautiful just the way he is. Also, the part right before this song, As Long As You're Mine, he tells her that she's beautiful, and she says, "You don't have to lie." And he goes, "I'm just looking at things in a new way."
I'm like, that's still an insult.
If
What's
someone
going on?
said that to me, I would die.
Out.
Yeah, you get out of here.
It's not a lie. I'm just seeing things from a different light.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
That is not romantic. That's not hot for me.
Really weird.
You think that I am strange looking, but there's some beauty in it? You're marveling at my unique looks? I don't like it.
This is what betrays that the musical, I should say, was written in 2003. Like, I think that ultimately a lot of my political issues with the film is that this is from the George W. Bush era. And like, we have evolved a lot since then and we think about things differently. I think that explains a lot of this.
I would agree with you. I think that could have been updated. I'm like, I don't know about this. But yeah, the chemistry was a little bit off there. I don't know what it was exactly, but it just didn't work for me.
Well, this was something that I brought up in the first film was like, I just don't buy that Elphaba gives a single shit about him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I said like that whole plot line could have just been ripped out of the first movie and I think it would be better for it. And like for that to basically be like one of the inciting incidents of the second film is tough because not only is this the reason why Elphaba seems to be happy about going into exile forever. She can never return to Oz to like accomplish this goal that seemingly was so meaningful to her in the first film, right? And then also like the fight between Elphaba and Glinda was like over him.
Yeah.
Which I think was also tough and made me dislike Glinda more because Glinda was like, you stole my man. And then Elphaba's like, you literally killed my sister. Like one of those is worse than the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. This is part of the second act of the musical that I hate. And I still think that it was bad in this version too. Glinda we know now from what, we the audience.
Yeah.
Know that Glinda was not aware that this was an intentional act of violence to incite, a villainous streak in Elphaba by killing the Wicked Witch of the East, Nessa Rose. Like, she didn't know Madame Morrible conjured this tornado to drop a house on her. But the lack of emotion from Glinda when this happened is really bad and weird. And belies like the care and love that she has for Elphaba. That would be like if you dropped a house on my brother or I dropped one on one of your brothers or sister. Like, and I was just like, sorry about that. But I got the shoes though. It's like, what the fuck?
That's the problem is like,
it's very bad.
There is opportunity after opportunity in the first and the second film for Glinda to turn to Elphaba's side and support her as a friend.
Yeah.
And she doesn't under any opportunity. The closest she comes is that party scene in the first movie, which is one of the better scenes in that first movie. And it's because we see this friendship And we see it again in the second one, but it's kind of just like a rerun of when they went to see the wizard in the first movie. I'm like, why are we doing this again? Like, we know that the wizard is complete bullshit. Like, why are we having another conversation with him? So for the only thing for Glinda to finally change her mind about was basically their final number for good, which I think is probably the best song in the second film.
100% it is. Yeah, there's no contest.
But it took me out emotionally from what Glinda was saying, because I was like, what are you talking about? You value this person as a friend so much and she's changed you for good, because you repeatedly refused to be an ally to her, you know? And that took me out a little bit.
I mean, I think the second act of this play, this story, let's just say, I want to stop trying to differentiate too much between them when I'm talking about the narrative. So the second act of this work is just badly done. And it's really a difficult transition between, like, the first act is definitely like the youthful uprising of a revolutionary, right? There's a lot of like fun in it. There's a lot of lighthearted tones. The second act is just like very dark. There's no complete resolution. There is not a happy ending. And I do agree that like Galinda's arc has like a weak peak right at the very end when it's like there's almost no more stakes for her to lose, is when she decides to be a good person.
Yeah.
It's really bad, unfortunately.
And I think that there could be a really dark, interesting movie that tries to tackle this. Like, why does it matter that who is doing the politics is so important in whether change is made, right? Like, that's an interesting seed of an idea. But this movie was still interested in being a movie that was great for kids, that was, delivering to the musical fans, right? That was bright and shiny and marketable. And I think that for that reason, it's almost as if like the last 3 Harry Potter films had the same tone as the first 3 Harry Potter films.
Right.
And the subject matter of the last 3 was still the same, which is like really dark. It's like, oh, Voldemort's like a true fascist. And like, that's kind of what we learn
like the wizard
at the end of the first Wicked, is like, oh, these guys are evil. Right. And then in the second Wicked film, it's like, okay, we still have Madame Morrible smacking her face on the cake and getting like stuck by a frog tongue. Right. It's like the tone mishmash was very strange. So like, I guess that like a movie about these ideas could have been good, but I just don't think that this particular tone was equipped to deal with those themes.
Yeah, I agree. We have to talk about Michelle Yeoh. And listen, I love Michelle.
I think a lot of people felt the same way in the first film, but
yeah,
it was
she's a very talented actor, an excellent martial artist. I really enjoyed her in Crazy Rich Asians.
Also directed by John Chu.
Yep. I did not enjoy her as Madame Morrible. She cannot sing. I get that. And I know that she's on record saying, I tried to turn this movie down because I cannot sing and I thought I would do a bad job. And this is sort of the thing, is like when people like tell you they can't do something, like it's sometimes worth it to believe them.
Agree.
And especially Michelle Yeoh, who has like accomplished so much in her life and has like has won an Oscar. Like, she knows herself and she knows the extent of her abilities. So I do wish that John Chu and Cynthia and Ariana had not tried to convince her to do this movie, because I ultimately think it was like a miscasting. Madame Morrible in the musical, is like truly despicable, so evil. There are no redeeming qualities. And like, there were times when I thought Michelle Yeoh did that justice, but it was certainly not during the musical numbers where Madame Morrible has like significant messages to convey through song.
Yeah.
And they like cut out the majority of her part in the second film. And I think it was probably because it wasn't hitting.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even Michelle Yeoh's fault,
No, not at all.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
She literally said, hey guys, like, I would love to be involved. I cannot do this. It's just not something I'm good at.
Yeah.
And they were like, but you're Michelle Yeoh, we want you. That's tough. But I'm also like, can't we hire like somebody to like sing her parts for her?
And just dub? Yeah.
Yeah. But or also I'm like, let's give some other great working actresses. What about Lea Salonga? Was she unavailable?
I 100% agree. Yeah, she was miscast. Miscast.
That's tough.
I think it sounds like generally we're a little bit mixed. You're probably a little bit higher on the film than I am.
Well, I don't know if I would say that. I mean, I think it was like ultimately like pretty decent, but I think it's really the story is not there.
Yeah.
I think it's really tough when you're doing like trying to remake something that means a lot to a lot of people, especially when it's an older work that the politics of it are really not the vibe. They're not like if this musical came out today, I think it would not be the success that it was in 2003 because
Right.
the politics are bad.
Right. It seems like the message at the time was like, we should be embracing friendships with people that have different political perspectives, right? They inform our behavior moving forward, right? The same way that Elphaba and Glinda influence each other.
Mhm.
But I think it is clearly pre third, fourth wave feminism, intersectional feminism, pre Black Lives Matter, all of those conversations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tough.
How about this? The very ending, the very final scene of the film
Mhm.
is an enormous departure from the musical. At this time, Elphaba and Fiyero, the Scarecrow, have gone to, I forget what the place is even called, but basically that desert that we were
The
talking
wasteland or
about of
whatever, yeah.
desolation, yeah. Where basically nobody even lives and can survive, so I'm confused how they're going to make a life there. Okay, so that's one thing. But the second thing that I don't quite understand why they did this was that Glinda takes the Grimoire, the magical book that only certain people are able to read, and Elphaba was one of the first in many generations to be able to do so. And suddenly it like lights up for Glinda. It's like conveying the message that maybe Glinda is powerful and is magical, which they set up early in the film by this flashback of like her as a child at a birthday party when she gets her first magic wand from her parents. And she's disappointed when she's like, I'm not magical. This is the only thing I've ever wanted was to be magical and to be able to produce power. And then they set up this very final scene for when the Grimoire opens for her and starts glowing. So we're to now think that she is also going to be able to access the Grimoire and do spell work and is magical.
Well, there was a little bit of like knowing stares or looks from Elphaba in the wasteland during this time.
Right.
So my reading of this was that somehow Elphaba transferred her magical abilities or like gifted Glinda some magical abilities so that she could use what is it called?
Right.
The grimoire?
The Grimoire.
The Grimoire. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was how I interpreted it.
That was how I interpreted it too, but that is an enormous departure from the musical
Mhm.
because we're supposed to be unsatisfied knowing that magic has been lost to this world again, that Elphaba did not receive a happy ending, and Glinda also really didn't receive a happy ending because she is devastated at the apparent death of her friend
Yeah.
and realizes that everything that she loved is now lost and she does not get to fulfill her lifelong desire of being an actual witch.
Yeah, and then they give her this power seemingly in an optimistic note like, "Oh, well now that all of this has happened to her, maybe she'll be like a good ruler." And it seems
Yeah.
to like posit that she probably will,
Yeah.
which I think is like counter to if I'm looking at it objectively like an otherwise pretty dark ending because
Right.
based on everything that Glinda has done up until this point, I don't really trust her to lead Oz.
I do want yes, I agree with you. I don't think she has great judgment. Her instincts are always self-serving. That's like who she is as a character. And it's humorous when the stakes are low, but when it's the stakes are high, like, when we're talking about the enslavement and oppression of an entire bunch of species of creatures, that is really tough and it's no longer funny and cute.
Yeah.
That said, given this very difficult story to try to tell, considering that it has like this whole it has to set up the Wizard of Oz, I think that the acting in this movie from Ariana Grande in particular and from Cynthia Erivo was outstanding.
Yeah.
I maintain that Ariana Grande was absolutely robbed of the Oscar for the first film. I think she 100% deserves a nomination for this portrayal of Glinda. She did a great job because even though Glinda is truly detestable, Ariana Grande just is captivating in this role. I mean, she steals every scene that she's in, and you kind of want her to succeed, or you're at least charmed by her, even though she's really a bad person.
Obviously, that I said this at the very top. Like, no shade to Ariana Grande about this film at all.
No,
She
not at all. She was
is
great.
the jewel of the film, and the relationship between Glinda and Elphaba is really what the film should have focused on, and it tried to, but I don't think it quite got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish that they focused more on that relationship, you know?
And, Justin, I know I was on record from our first Wicked episode saying that I disagreed. There needed to be some romance in this film.
Mhm.
I actually think that was a very 2003 perspective of this story. I think you're right. I think the Fiyero storyline could have been ripped out, and he could have just been a good friend to them. He could have even been a gay friend to them. Jonathan
He could have
Bailey.
even just been somebody who was interested in them, but they were not interested in. Like, there's so many options.
That could be too. There are a lot of options, and I do think that kind of could have made this even a stronger and more modern retelling of this story. So I do wish that had been changed as well.
Okay, well, let's talk about the box office for this film, because blowing the fuck up, $151 million opening weekend for this film. It's the highest for any musical adaptation in history. Probably going to be one of the biggest films of the year. Might open up to more than Wicked did. This is a massive hit. I do wonder, I mean, there's a lot going on right now, but I do wonder if Universal may think about trying to do a sequel to this. What do you think?
I was wondering about that, because the way they've set it up is that Elphaba is still alive, which was the case in the story too, but then they set up this thing of Glinda potentially having power. I think that is definitely an instinct that Universal would have, for them to be like, well, we've got to do a third because this has been such a hit. I think they'd have a hard time coming up with a sufficient story that feels like it's necessary, or feels like a third movie is deserved.
Yeah, I find it hard to think that they wouldn't keep going with this. I do wonder if they would go their own way, or if they would continue down the novel storyline, because the novel that the original musical is based on does have multiple sequels, and they kind of track Elphaba and Glinda separately. So I wonder if they would go that route, but I could see them going a totally different third route that's kind of about Glinda governing, and maybe having a return of Elphaba to Glinda, and maybe a redemption arc, in the public eye for Elphaba. That I would be interested in seeing, but I do think it would be really challenging. It'd be a real tightrope walk.
I do too. I just don't know about that. I would hate to see it.
Well, on that note, I think we both have kind of mixed feelings about this film. It was a good time at the movies. There were it was a packed theater for me, so that was fun.
Oh, listen, let me tell you about this real quick, Justin. My time at the movies, I would say, was not good.
Oh.
The theater smelled like vomit. And, well, that's the end of it. It just made it really bad.
Was it a packed theater? Was there lots of people?
It wasn't packed. It was, I would say, probably 2/3 filled, but it was also a very late showing. The showing started at 10:50, I think. But there was lots of people our age there, and some young folks, some Gen Alphas. I did not hear anybody say 6'7".
And we can all be thankful for that.
Let's thank the old gods and the new. But thank Oz.
With that, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our What's Goods.
Okay.
And we're back.
We're so back. And Justin, we talked a lot about a lot of different things today. But what I want to hear about now is what's good with you this week.
Well, Geoff, I've been watching a television show, and that show is Pluribus. No, I'm just...
Oh my God, I was like, not this.
I joke, although that show does rule. No, it's a different show. This is an animated show called Common Side Effects. And Geoff, I haven't talked about any animated shows on the pod yet, and that's because, as you know, I am a hater in general of most adult animation.
I was just going to say you're famously not into adult animation, as you always call it.
Because it's strange. I don't know. The vibes are just off with a lot of adult animation. I don't like South Park.
Bob's Burger?
I haven't watched it.
It's really funny. I think you would like it.
Maybe I would, but Today I'm talking about a show called Common Side Effects.
Okay. I just saw an advertisement for this today, so I'm curious to hear about this.
Now, if you're wondering how I came to this show, it's created by the animator Joe Bennett. This guy animated a different show that was on HBO Max called Scavenger's Reign, which if we ever have a Hot Takes TV episode, I'm going to be talking about that show because it is such an underrated animated show that was canceled after one season being on HBO Max. It was like this incredible sci-fi show that I would love to talk more about. But he also did all the animation for this show, and it was co-created by writer Steve Healy. It's executive produced by some real titans of comedy. So Greg Daniels, who is one of the creators of The American Office, and Mike Judge, who is, again, this is like comedy royalty. He is the showrunner of King of the Hill. He created Silicon Valley, among many other comedy shows on TV. So it has a lot of backing here. This is a conspiracy thriller and comedy. So it reminds me a lot of stuff that we talked about on the show, like Begonia, One Battle After Another, Eddington. I have like a complicated relationship with conspiracy shows and dramas because as somebody who like has an interest in science, I have like a knee-jerk reaction kind of against conspiracy theories, I think. And I've struggled, when we talked about Begonia, this is something that I struggled with in that film, right? But this show, I think, does a great job of walking the line between being a conspiracy thriller and also not fully going down the rabbit hole of like conspiracy theories. So the main character is Marshall, who's voiced by Dave King. This is a guy, we first see him, he shows up at a press conference for a major pharmaceutical company, and he's wearing like a short sleeve collared shirt, unbuttoned, no undershirt, big belly sticking out, big beard, long hair, wearing a bucket hat. Like you can imagine, you kind of know who this guy is, right? And he's like, oh, what are you going to do about the ecological devastation? And the CEO of the tech company or the pharmaceutical company is like, all right, get him out of here, security or whatever, right? And you kind of like brush this guy off immediately. But the whole premise of the show is that this man, who actually is a very intelligent and well-trained scientist, has discovered a mushroom that basically cures all diseases and all injuries. The premise is like he doesn't want the pharmaceutical companies to find out about it, because if they do, they're going to try to erase it off the face of the earth because they want people to pay for their drugs. You know, it's all the like, they don't want you to get better. They want you to buy medicine, right? It has that kind of like core conspiratorial idea. But because the main character is like a real trained scientist, he's also like, I think that it threads the needle of like, those conspiratorial ideas have a root in reality because, of course, pharmaceutical companies are trying to make money and exploit people. But at the same time, there are some even more conspiratorial characters in the show that are way more down the rabbit hole. So essentially, the drama of the show comes when multiple other factions, including like DEA agents, like rival conspiracy theorists who want these mushrooms for themselves, and a whole bunch of other kind of like extended comedic characters start barreling down on this guy to try to get the mushrooms. And of course, this guy, as I described him to you, not like Jason Bourne, right? So there's a lot of comedy that's born from that. He is like very resourceful, but he's almost compassionate to a fault. He comes across people who are injured, he gives them the mushroom. And then suddenly that's another piece of evidence for people to find him, right? He has a pet tortoise who I think is the best character in the show, who he keeps alive and literally just carries around like a rock all the time.
Oh, God.
In terms of the animation, Scavenger's Reign was so trippy and cool. And I was a little bit worried because the style here is a little bit more comedic, a little bit more like Family Guy-ish. But I shouldn't have been worried because the trippy, like very wild animation style from Scavenger's Reign continues on. Like whenever somebody takes a dose of this mushroom, they have this crazy, like, you know, as you'd expect from taking mushrooms, these crazy visions that are so imaginative and vivid. If any of this sounds like something you'd be interested in, give it a watch. I did not know that this show existed, even though I was a huge fan of Scavenger's Reign. And I think it's like really being slept on this year. It's a great show. So give it a chance. It's called Common Side Effects, and you can stream it on HBO Max.
I love that. Wait, I want to say this. I heard this voice in the trailer that I saw today for this show. And I said, oh, I know exactly who this is. but one of the DEA agents is played by Martha Kelly, who
Yeah.
was famously in Baskets, which I love that show. It's so fucking funny and underrated. And she also, of course, played bruised drug dealer Lori in Euphoria
Yep.
during season 2 and season 3. She is just such a great comedian and great actor, so I'm very excited to watch just because of that.
Yeah, and the episodes are only like 20 minutes long, so very easy to watch that before bed or whatever.
And we love a 20-minute episode. That is the best. All right, Justin. Well, this week I'm watching a show that you've definitely heard me talk about.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
I think everyone has heard me talk about it. But it's really time for everybody to really lock in. Get your Peacock. Oh, and by the way, Peacock and Apple TV now available for a bundled service for the low price of $13.99 per month. Everybody should take advantage of it because that is a huge cost savings. But it is time for everybody to lock in and watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Okay, I thought you were going to say all's fair. Head was about to explode.
Justin, why was your head going to explode?
Because that show is bad. We've talked about this.
Have we talked about this being bad?
All's
because
fair? Yes.
I've been watching it, and I don't know if I think it's like fully bad. I think some of it is very compelling and interesting.
Okay, well, let's talk about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City instead.
Listeners, I don't know if you can hear it in his voice, but I wish you could see his face because he looks extremely disappointed by my response just now. However, what's not disappointing is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I maintain that this is currently the best show on television. It is so watchable. It is so funny. I was laughing my ass off last night at the most recent episode where they did a high body count hair party. It was so fucking good.
Can you explain that to me?
Yes. So there is this new addition to the cast this year. Her name is Brittany. Well, she was featured last year, but this year she's like been more prominently featured. I believe she still is a friend of. So for those who don't know, in Housewives, there are main cast and then there are friends of who are like secondary cast members. So these people don't always have like a confessional. The main cast always has confessional and then they film scenes. The friends of are sometimes included in the scenes but don't always have a confessional.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they do. This year, Brittany is like kind of more of a main cast friend of. So she is getting the confessionals, and she is a little odd. I think it was like a moderately successful Broadway performer years ago, and her, as happens often, her career cooled as she got a little bit older, and she has this bizarre relationship that's on again, off again with one of the lesser known Osmond family members of Donnie and Maria Osmond fame. That is very toxic and weird. And I would say that her taste level is like low and like a Las Vegas sort of level.
Low.
And there was this one scene where she had like a really big hair, ludicrously capricious hair,
mm-hmm.
Tom might have said in Succession.
Mm.
And one of the main cast members, Angie Constantinasis, owns a bunch of hair. She's a hairstylist and she owns a bunch of hair salons. And she coined the term, she said, "Get out of here with you and your high body count hair." And everybody was like, "What does that mean?" She's like, "She looks like a whore. She's got high body count hair. It's big."
Okay.
Anyways, this is a very long explanation, but the show is so great. I just really think you should watch it, Justin. I know you like to say you don't like reality TV, but similarly to you saying you don't like adult animation, I do think there are exceptions, and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is certainly one of those exceptions for you. I'm sure you would very much enjoy this show.
Well, you know that there are exceptions, and you also know that when Real Housewives is on, I'm not watching. You know what I mean?
You're not watching.
I'm watching.
That's exactly right.
But it's just like when I am making the decision, like, what should I sit down and watch today? It's rare that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna watch some Housewives. But I do think this is a longer conversation to have. But this is why I feel seen by the character Carol in Pluribus, is because I think there's a certain level of like, I need to be challenged in order for something to be fulfilling for me, or like I need to be watching something that is like valuable and meaningful. And for whatever reason, and I'm not saying this is a negative or positive thing, but like for whatever reason, Housewives feels just like easy cotton candy, to use a phrase from the latest episode of
100%.
Pluribus.
I agree.
And I guess I'm just like, that's fine, but
you are obsessed with Pluribus. You work into every conversation.
I'm obsessed.
It's crazy.
It's true.
I think maybe you need a break.
Can't wait for the episode that we do about it.
Justin, maybe take a break. Maybe go outside, maybe touch a little grass.
Well,
get off the boob tube.
Okay, there's only 4 episodes out. I'm not rewatching those over and over and over again, even though it may sound like I am.
I will check with Brandy to confirm. I don't know if we have a reliable narrator on our hands at the moment.
Well, Geoff, with that, I think it's a great time to close out our episode, and it's been a fun one. I'm glad that you didn't murder me about my Wicked take. I was a little bit worried about that.
Justin, I would have to say our takes about Wicked were wicked good.
Hey, and with that, bye.
And that's a point for me. Bye. This has been a wickedly good episode of Bants with me and Justin. Bants is created and produced by me and Justin. Graphic design by me. Editing by Justin. And the theme music for Bants is the track Nebraska With You by Sam Day, and it's provided by No Copyright Sounds. Feel free to email us at bantspod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or to say hi. And if you like the podcast, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, watching it by myself, laughing, being like, you guys see that? And then nobody is there.
No one's there.
Very depressing.
No one's there. It's just your animals staring at you quizzically.
Take a quick break there. I need to take my burrito out of the oven.
Oh, great. I have to get my laundry out of the dryer.
Great. We'll be right back.
Be back. Of course, I didn't notice before I put my white towels in the dryer. Somebody had a pen in the dryer. And there's now blue ballpoint pen ink all over my shit. Why is everyone so woefully incompetent and inconsiderate?
Damn. Sorry, Geoff. Rip your towels.